I would say that for the entirety of year 1 here in Destiny 2, the Dan, known as HalfDan, was very much so. It was very much half a man. Now, I made early eye contact here with HalfDan in the beginning of year 1, and I knew it had potential. I thought Masterworks was going to bring some of that potential out, but it just wasn't enough. But here now, in year 2, we have random rolls. So boys, I present to you the full Dan, aka just the Dan. Just the Dan. How many guns do you pick up that's just called Dan? His weapon is oozing with no fucks given. So look, let's break down what is going on here with Dan. Shout out to Panda for letting us get on his account. He is the one that found this god roll. Now, intrinsically, this is a high impact frame auto rifle, slow firing and high damage. This weapon is more accurate when stationary and aiming down sights. Now, the sight we're actually working with here is the SD Thermal. I really like this sight. I mean, I wish it could be better in close quarter combat, but in that mid-range, it's really nice. Now, highlighting targets is great and all. What makes it nice for me is that the field of view there is still really good despite it helping you so much in that mid-range. The magazine perk we're working here is steadied rounds, which as you can see definitely helps that stability out. We're also rocking snapshot. Now, snapshot is not a perk I would say is necessarily needed, but when you deal with slow handling weapons, being able to jump in and out of your sights immediately is really nice. And the final trait there is high impact reserves. Now, we did a video, I don't know, I think it was a month ago. It was Aztecross regime. We were essentially priming our weapon all the way down to the final half of the magazine. We were taking advantage of that extra damage on the tail end. There's not any priming happening today, but there is little to no reloading because I'm definitely taking advantage of high impact reserves, which does throw that damage up significantly. You hit 34 per crit here with HalfDan. High impact reserves allows you to hit somewhere between 35 and jumps up to 36. The masterwork we have on this gun is even better. We've got it loaded out in stability. And to top it off, my suggestion to Panda was to throw on a Counterbalance Mod. Now, that recoil direction is at 70. You can definitely do without it. The Counterbalance Mod is just something to just add a little more verticality. But here's the thing. I really think you can use other mods on this gun. Like if you didn't have snapshot, I think a freehand grip mod would be perfect on this gun. So guys, is HalfDan a dominant weapon? The Titan in me wants to say yes. The Dan doesn't mess around, okay? It's gonna put down anything. It's the best weapon in the game. I want to say it. I want to believe it. It's not. It's decent. It's much better than what it was in year 1, but it's got some major drawbacks. And the best word I can come up with is it's kind of awkward. And I think 360 round per minute auto rifles in general in Crucible are slightly awkward. And when I say awkward, they're mainly good in the mid-range. But here's what happens when you get into that mid-range. You start dealing with bygones and claws and other weapons, pulse rifles specifically, that are really good in the mid-range. That's their area. Where HalfDan is definitely not good at is close quarter combat. So it's awkward to me because it's got its foot in both areas, but it's really not just dominant in either one. Now, believe me, at 34 per crit, HalfDan is chewing through some people. You want to talk time to kill, boys? 360 round per minute auto rifles has one of the best TTKs. At 0.83 seconds, 6 crits, you'll be able to put down any Guardian. But again, being as consistent as you can, which is why we have everything on this weapon loaded out in stability. Now, I think every weapon in this game right now has a chance, an opportunity, especially with random rolls, because that's what it does. Random rolls allows even your suckiest weapons to have a fighting chance. Now, when we have a gun like Dan, we cannot overlook the fact that it has one of the best TTKs in the game. So really, it just needs consistency, as loaded down as we can possibly get it. So guys, let's talk about the rolls I would go for. As far as sights go, I think the thermal sight's really good, boys. It's a medium zoom sight. It keeps that field of view pretty wide, even when you're aiming down sights. I don't think you can go wrong with it. Now, magazine perks, I like steady rounds. Now, let's talk about these traits. If you have a freehand mod available, which allows you to get that ready speed faster and has that increased accuracy from the hip, which in turn just means you have increased accuracy from when you go to aim down sights, which is really nice. I would oversaturate that perk even more with tap the trigger. Again, guys, great time to kill already. We just need to hit crits. And so if you've just got this stupid amount of increased accuracy from the hip and your initial trigger pull, landing those crits should be no problem. Now, the final trait Really, guys, there's two options for me. If you were to go with something like the GB Iron Sight, which is a short zoom sight, but it adds to that handling significantly, I would really try to rock that out with rangefinder. Again, I felt like Dan was a little awkward in those mid ranges. It could dominate pulse rifles, but the two main things working against it was consistency and damage fall off. So rangefinder, I think, will serve a great purpose on this gun. And even without the GB Iron Sights, even if you're rocking SD Thermal with a freehand mod, you should be okay. The only other sight I would try is maybe moving targets. And as far as masterwork goes, boys, yes, stability all the way. You want to make sure you're going to be as consistent as possible. So guys, that is my recommendations for HalfDan. Don't discount 360 round per minute autos. I know there's not many of them, which is why a lot of people don't think of them, but they really do got potential. Any gun you pick up that has that time to kill by default has potential. It just requires that perfect roll. Well, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about Dan. I appreciate you all coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.